So what's interesting to me is you also talk about leaders as equals,
Yeah.
and how do you contrast that with the leaders at the CIA
Hmm.
and the leaders in a corporation? How did you see the difference,
Yeah.
and what is it that you can learn from the CIA which you can apply it back into the civilian society and the
So
companies?
yeah. So the good thing is that everything that was true at the CIA in this capacity, at least, is true in a corporate context, in the sense that I saw very hierarchical, very aggressive, terrible leaders at the CIA. And I also saw leaders who did treat other people as equals, who did take responsibility when things went wrong, who did sort of try to protect their team or their people from, sort of any fallout or whatever else. And you see that across the board, both in industry and at the CIA. The three sort of the best leaders I worked under at the CIA, again, they were not afraid to be who they were, and they had very different leadership styles from each other. So they didn't worry about conforming to a stereotype. They didn't worry. One of them was my boss when I was operating out in a war zone. And, in a war zone setting, you think, oh gosh, a leader's got to be very aggressive and very dominating and very, I say what goes and you just have to fall in line and do it and be very hierarchical. He was the total opposite. He was the best example I can think of someone who treated everybody as equals. But the thing is, just because you treat people as equals, because they are, we're all equally human beings, doesn't mean that the responsibility is equal. And I think that's the distinction, right? People think, oh, well, if I treat everyone as equals, then all of a sudden I don't have any power. I don't have any authority. No, the buck always stops with you. If you are the CEO, if you are in that case, the chief of station, or if you are the person who's heading that team or that organization, then you're always the final arbiter. You're always the final decision maker. But the way you treat your people doesn't have to be superior. You don't have to always lord that power over others. And I think the best leaders can can negotiate that seemingly contradictory way of doing things, but it's not at all, right? You can treat people equal, but still be the boss. And it's okay to acknowledge that sometimes good ideas will come from other people. You don't have to have all the answers. And again, it's these notions that we get from popular culture usually and movies is like, oh, leaders know everything and they make all the decisions and everything has to come from them. The best leaders will ask good questions, will surround themselves with other people who are smarter than them, and engage and recognize that good ideas and ways of doing things will not just originate from them. But that doesn't make them any less of a leader. It's not a sign of weakness when you ask a question or you let somebody else take the glory or you let somebody else's idea win. It's a sign that you acknowledge the reality that no one human being can ever have all the answers or all of the information. And it's okay to let other people shine as well. Your job as a leader is to bring, it sounds a bit cliche, but it is to bring the best out of those around you and then to you don't ever have to take all of the advice you're given. Of course, again, as the leader, you get to decide what you listen to and what you don't, but at least be willing to have that conversation, to invite opposing views, to invite other people to have an opinion about something that might not fit your own. And then you can choose to listen or not listen, but at least that conversation is treating others as equals. And then you can still assert your authority by what you decide to do, because there can only be one decision and you can be the person to make that decision. But the process of getting there can be equal and flat and collaborative and not just, okay, well, you have to do what I say and everything, and ignore everything else.